Hello, adventurers, and welcome back to the Dragon's Lair. Today, we will be discussing He Who Shall Not Be Named. So, let's jump right into it, shall we? You know, I've got a couple things to go over before we actually jump into it. First off, Chill is back.
Howdy.
So that's good. Second, I'm not going to dance around his name the entire time. So, today we're going to be discussing Lord Voldemort, or Tom Marvolo Riddle, if you want the anagram. So, now, let's jump right into it, shall we? Starting off with the strength score. It's not good. It's also not terrible, though. Right? When you're, like... Okay, spoiler alert, 3, 2, 1. We should be good. When we first meet him, he's ahead. And I don't mean, like, ahead of the pack or anything. No, he's ahead, attached to another dude. And just, like, hidden. He's really the back of a head. It's really all he is. You got a look on your face. Chill, what's going on?
Yeah.
Got something? Nothing?
A head that's always covered.
Mm-hmm.
It's a sad life.
Mm-hmm. Oh, he didn't have to live it for long. Fortunately.
Yeah.
But yeah, so, when we first meet him, he didn't have the strength to do anything on his own. So he had a very poor strength at that point. As time moves on, he does... I said spoiler alert, 3, 2, 1.
Mm-hmm.
Should be good. He does eventually get a body back, so that gives him, like, at least the ability to stand, which is nice. But he still doesn't use strength a whole lot. It's still not all that important to him. Anything else I've got listed there? I mean, I think that's pretty much it. Like, we meet him and he doesn't have a body. Eventually he gets a body, but he still doesn't, like... He's still not Mr. Strongman at the circus.
No, not really.
Yeah. So, I mean, at the end, I'm not going to say that he was weak, but strength isn't all that important to him. And in the beginning, he was not strong enough to survive on his own.
No.
So, for the score, I'm going to say low, like 4. And then at its highest, probably 12. Maybe 14. But 10 to 12 makes the most sense, in my opinion, for the highest point of strength. Moving into dexterity. Well, spoiler alert, 3, 2, 1. From a stealth standpoint, he knows how to not get discovered under a turban. That's about it. Aside from that one instance, he doesn't really use dexterity a whole lot. I mean, think about it. After that, he doesn't stealth around. I mean, he kind of walks around like he owns the place. Mm-hmm. He doesn't wear armor, but I would say he has a high AC because... Not because of his dexterity and ability to dodge, but the fact that he takes strikes and more deflects them with his wand. It's kind of an interesting thing that I saw him do, and I don't remember seeing anyone else do it. I mean, someone like Snape might have, but I don't remember seeing them. I certainly didn't see any of the students doing it.
I didn't either. Not from memory. Yeah,
not from immediate memory, which it's been a minute since we've watched the movies, but, like, it hasn't been that long. So it's just one of those weird things. Like, he doesn't, like, he's not Matrix styling, dodging out of the way, but he's deflecting spells cast at him. So he's got a high AC, but not because of his own ability. He has a high AC, but not because of his own ability. Just because I heard myself say something different. So yeah, there's that. I mean, moving from there, he doesn't really dance a whole lot. Like, he's got no reason to dance, except on the grave of Dumbledore. That was mean. That was mean. Whew, that was not scripted. So, but yeah, I mean, dexterity just kind of isn't important to Voldemort. Like, he doesn't use it. So because of that, I'm going to say it's relatively low. I'm going to give him probably a 10, like right around there. Like, not bad because he doesn't use it, but also not good because he doesn't use it. So somewhere right around a 10, maybe 8 to 12 for your generic range, but I would argue straight 10. Moving into Constitution. argue that he's got a pretty high constitution. Spoiler alert, 3, 2, 1. We should be good. Did I say spoiler alert and dexterity? I had to have at the beginning.
Perhaps.
Because of the turban thing.
Yes, maybe.
I had to have. If not, I'd set it in strength, so whatever. But yeah, back to the stat we're on, which is constitution. I said spoiler alert, 3, 2, 1. If I didn't, I did now. But yeah, I'd say he has a relatively high constitution. First off, he's tied very much so to Harry Potter, who was also very constitutionally sound. So, just based on that, he's going to be relatively good for constitution. Second, the entirety of the series, he's preparing for a war. Like, Voldemort knows that this is going to end in a giant battle between him and Hogwarts. So he's preparing for that, and because of that, he's going to have a relatively high constitution. On top of that, Voldemort has made it hard to kill, made himself hard to kill, and because constitution is so highly tied into your hit points and your ability to be killed, I'm going to have to say that it's going to be relatively high because he's made it so difficult to kill him. So that sort of thing. Then factor in the idea that he takes a few hits as well as gives a few, and it just kind of makes sense that he's got a relatively high constitution. So because of that, Chill, did I miss anything? Quick glance? No? Cool. Because of that, I'm going to say that his constitution is somewhere around 16 to 18. Just because he's made it so hard to beat him in battle, to put it nicely. Moving into intelligence. I'm going to cover my bases. I don't think there's a spoiler here, but spoiler alert, 3, 2, 1. We should be good. Voldemort knows quite a few things, right? I mean, he knows that Harry's going to be weaker on his own. He knows that it's going to wind up in a fight between his army and Hogwarts' ragtag team of militia, really. You can't really call a college or high school an army.
No.
It's not how that works. But, like, he knows that sort of thing. He knows that he's made it difficult to kill him because of all the Horcruxes. So, yeah, like, he knows a few different things. Now, that being said, it seems as though he only knows one spell. Like, truth be told, he probably knows the Wingardium Leviosa thing, but he doesn't use it.
I mean, he was a student, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He went to Hogwarts. I think Dumbledore was still the headmaster back then.
So I assume he learned something.
Yeah, like, he went through the school, he learned it. Well, I mean, he learned how to make his soul into different soul bits. So, like, that's a thing, apparently.
Mm-hmm.
But he really, as for spells that he uses, he really only uses
just one.
Avada Kedavra. Like, so apparently he doesn't know a whole lot of spells, even though he probably knows quite a few spells. That's speculation, really. But, like, yeah, he knows quite a few things. Most of the things he knows, though, are just used for evil. But that's not the determination here. The determination for intelligence is how much do you know? And for that, I'm going to say it's going to be quite high. I would have to say probably 18 to 20, just because he does know quite a bit. He knows a lot of the magic, like a lot of different magic that most people don't, right? For instance, the Horcruxes. Mm-hmm. Very few people knew how to do that. If more people knew how to do it, I bet you there would be a lot more wizards that live longer.
Probably.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, immortality seems pretty nice.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, yeah. I'm going to go 18 to 20 for the score. Now, as for whether or not what he knows is good or bad, that's the next question. We're going to take a step into wisdom real quick. I think he's got a terrible wisdom. Alright? This is just from me. Spoiler alert. 3, 2, 1. We should be good. Just for the record, this is going to contain a lot of spoilers and a rant. Just so you know. Okay. It seems like an oversight to me to want to try to kill a guy that you've already failed at killing once. Especially after you've let him, like, I don't know, go through a schooling system to learn how to be a better wizard, when apparently he bested you at the age of 0. So, it seems like an oversight to me to want to do that. Now from there, talking more about the whole trope of Voldemort as a whole, the Horcruxes seems like an oversight to me. I'm moving past the generic, like, oh, when you split your soul into bits, you lose a part of yourself. Like, of course you lose a part of yourself. That's the whole point. You want to take part of your soul and put it somewhere else so you can't be killed. That's why he did it. However, it seems to me like you made a mistake in, like, what you made them into. Like, why would you make a soul bit into a snake that you're then just gonna keep with you? Like, what's the purpose of that? It's a snake, so unless it's wrapped around something, it's pretty defenseless, right? And then it's with you. So, like, there's no distance there. It's soul bit 1 and soul bit 2. So it might as well just be one soul bit. Like, I don't understand. Then he made another one where he hid it in, like, some deep, dark cavern. And, of course, humans are curious by nature, so the second they hear deep, dark cavern, they're gonna go straight to it. Like, it's a bit of an oversight. But then, that's just, like, the hiding portion. Why wouldn't you? If the goal here is immortality, okay? That's why he did this. He didn't want to be killed. So if the goal here is immortality, why wouldn't you just make them into something like rocks and then just drop them somewhere? Like, throw it at the bottom of the ocean, no one will ever get to it, it's perfectly fine, right? Or, better yet, make a bunch of rocks, don't stop at just 7. Why? Why does 7 matter? What's the point? I'm sorry, I missed it. But, like, let me just make 7 different parts of my soul that are gonna be relatively easy to find and not very well hidden because I'm gonna keep it next to me. But, like, why wouldn't you make, like, more than 7 and then make them into rocks and then just, like, give them to people and say, hey, do me a favor, go skip this on a lake. I don't know which lake. Pick one. Don't tell me. I don't want to know. I want it gone. Like, that seems like a much better way to do that if the goal is immortality here. But, you know, it's just my thought. Chill, did I miss anything in that rant? Like, did I miss anything before it? I had a few other examples, I thought. I'm sorry you had to...
No,
I'm surprised I got it all.
question mark?
No question mark?
No, with a question mark. So probably nothing was missed, but I don't really know.
Thanks for your help, Chill. I would be genuinely surprised if I managed to get it all before that rant.
I mean, the Potter was one. That's a pretty bad idea.
Honestly, though. But he didn't mean to make that one, so you can't really hold it against him. Like, he didn't mean to make Harry a Horcrux.
He still did it.
Yeah, but he didn't. Like, he wasn't trying to. Part of that was because of Lily Potter stepping in. But...
meddling wizards.
Would have gotten away with it, too. But, yeah, I'm not going to hold Harry being a Horcrux against him, because he wasn't trying to make Harry one. So I guess the number is technically 8. Should have made more than 8.
Yeah.
Again, if the goal is immortality, you're going to make more than 8 bits. You're already splitting your soul into bits, so why stop at 8? Why not just go to, like, 8,000? Like, come on. If the goal is immortality, make a ton, make it to where a 1-year time crunch won't be enough to kill you. Mm-hmm. Give them to random people and say, hey, hide this. Don't tell me where, just do it. Like, I'm done. Sorry, I'm gonna move on. As for the score, low. I'm gonna say wisdom score like 2, maybe 4. I would go with 0, but I think that would make him like brain dead. So I guess technically you can't do that because he did have a brain, although he didn't use it. Makes me mad.
I mean, the way you could put it is everyone likes going in a dungeon quest. No one likes doing fetch quests where you gotta get 5,000 things.
True! Ah, true. No one likes doing the Stones of Baranzaya quest line.
No.
Now that we're just completely crossing over our references. It's cool. So yeah, super low wisdom. I would say 2 to 4. I would want 0, but I don't think you can feasibly do that. I think it makes it to where your characters like just can't think at all. So 2 to 4. Moving into charisma. He uses the statistic a lot. Otherwise, I don't see him getting a giant following like he had. So like he relies on. Well, I'll go ahead and say spoiler alert. 3, 2, 1. We should be good. He would rely on like honeyed words and threats, and both of those are charisma-based things. Like intimidation is a charisma-based statistic, and honeyed words is like persuasion and all that. So yeah, like it just makes sense that he relies on charisma. So for that, I'm gonna say it's relatively like moderate, probably 16 to 18, just because he uses the statistic a lot, and to get the kind of following he had, it seems like it worked. Moving into the straightforward build, right? Racing class straightforward build.
Yeah.
Yeah. Human question mark? I assume so. He just doesn't have a nose. Guess that was part of the Horcrux making process.
Wonder which one stole his nose.
Probably Harry. And the only reason I say that is for the comedy of Harry saying, "Ha ha ha, I got your nose." But like, yeah. So human. I would go with human variant because you get proficiency, which I would use in intimidation. And you get +1 to 2 different ability scores. I would use them in intelligence and charisma, but that's just me. From there, you also get a feat. Spell Sniper, I would go with, but I mean, you could also do something like Warcaster, would make sense too. Anything that buffs your spellcasting ability is going to be useful. As for the class, I would go with Wizard, specifically Necromantic Wizard, like Necromancy, and Enchantment. So, I say Necromancy because he seems to be the kind of guy that immediately resorts to murder spells. So necrotic damage makes a lot of sense. And then the only reason I say enchantment is because Power Word Kill is technically an enchantment spell. Mm-hmm. So yeah, that's the only real reason. I would say that's a possibility. So yeah, do that what you will. Into the conceptual build. I can see him being a Drow, and I don't really know why, but Drows are weak in sunlight, so that means is they have disadvantage on perception checks and attack rolls that deal with direct sunlight, whether they're in sunlight, the target is in sunlight, or the object is in sunlight. They get disadvantage on the perception checks or attack rolls against whatever it is. However, they get improved dark vision, so 120 feet. They gain the normal elven abilities too, which is nice. They get some spells. What are they?
Dancing lights, fairy fire, and darkness.
Yeah. And what was the last thing? Was it intelligence or was it charisma based? Increase. You get +1 to an ability. You see it? I will leave that link down in the description below because they do get something else. I'll leave all of their gained attributes down in the description below, so be on the lookout for that if you are interested. Aside from that, I could see him being a Goliath, but only purely for the aesthetics. Like nothing else. If you're going based on the lack of a nose, Githyanki makes sense, but that's where their similarities end. I would probably go with Yuan-Ti Pureblood, just because of the snake references, and they gain immunity to poison, both damage and the disease, or like the effect, rather. So that's nice. They gain some spells. Chill, do you want to read those off for me?
Poison spray, animal friendship for snakes.
Snakes only, yeah. So, what else? They get one more thing, I thought. Was it a...
suggestion.
Yeah, but the stat increases too.
Oh, +2 to charisma and +1 to intelligence.
In case you couldn't hear him, +2 to charisma, +1 to intelligence are the Yuan-Ti Pureblood stat increases. So, things that go with the abilities of Voldemort, actually. So yeah. As for the class, for a player, I would go sorcerer or wizard with an emphasis in necrotic-based spells and enchantment-based spells, because of what I mentioned earlier.
Mm-hmm.
For a DM, I would play him way differently. I would go with Voldemort being a patron for a bunch of warlocks. Probably Pact of the Old One. Or, no, it's not Pact. It's, like, Patron Old One or whatever. That sort of thing. I don't have it listed.
Oh.
I was just thinking on the fly, like I do. But yeah, something like that. Just for the different warlock pathways. But I would make it to where Voldemort was almost, like, godlike. So, and you have a little bit of wiggle room as the DM to do this, but the way I would do it is I would make him a mix between warlock and sorcerer. And then, because sorcerers get all of their abilities back on a short rest. Or not sorcerers, warlocks get all of their abilities back on a short rest, which is really nice. Sorcerers have sorcery points, which they can convert into spell slots. And those don't have a listed spell slot type to be able to convert into. So, what that means is you don't have to make sorcery spell slots with the sorcery points. I know that seems like, what? That doesn't make sense. But I read through it just to make sure. And yeah, you can technically make spell slots. It's not a type of spell slot. You're not making a sorcerer spell slot, you're making a spell slot, which you can then use to cast a warlock spell, which is cast at max level. So you create a level 1 spell slot, and you can use that as a warlock to cast max level things. Now, you can also convert spell slots into sorcery points, but you can only have a certain number of sorcery points. However, you don't have a maximum number of spell slots. So that's good to keep in mind. You can create as many spell slots as you'd like, but technically you can only have up to X amount of sorcery points, 1 per level of sorcerer at a time. So that's worth noting. But yeah, that's how I would do it. I would make him super powerful, but then use those sorcery points to give him more spell slots than the, 3 that warlocks get. It's pretty bad. Warlocks just don't have spell slots because all of their spells are cast at max level.
Mm-hmm.
And it would be super unbalanced if they had as many spell slots as, a wizard, but then all of their spells were automatically cast at max level as well. It'd be pretty unbalanced. So yeah, it makes sense. But now that I've ruined a few players' days, that is all I have for you fine adventurers today. So be on the lookout for my next video, which will be on Severus Snape. Feel free to leave a comment down below. Just make sure to be respectful about it. And just a friendly reminder, you can always come and check my Discord or come hang out on Twitch. Other than that, I will catch you all later.